Check out the full story on Amazon. Link in the description below. It was goddamn Skinny. Skinny ate the decapitated angler's body in a few bites and gulps, and threw the bones and spine back down the stairwell. He had lost his robotic arm, the arm that replaced the forearm I had shot. He probably would have regenerated the destroyed limb, but Core decided to upgrade him. And he had lost a good chunk of his robotic shoulder. But he had ripped off the cyborg side of his scary fucking face, and the deer skull covering his face had somehow grown back, and Skinny was almost completely healed in his non-robotic parts. He should have been long dead. I yelled out to Zack and Marlowe, and we all aimed at Skinny.
Wait! Wait! Don't shoot, you fucking idiots!
I was surprised that Skinny could even talk. But then I realized that he was a wendigo, and he was once human. At some point. Though he wasn't a true wendigo, he was a tall deer, a very similar monster, and a distant cousin.
Give me one reason why I shouldn't blast your ass into the sky. I'm mostly bulletproof, so I can probably rip your goddamn heads off before you can start firing your cute little pea shooters. But I'm not here for that shit. I don't work for or listen to those assholes at Core anymore. I'm not going to be their attack dog anymore. And I killed most of the other servants of colossal. I despise that fucker.
Who? Colossal? I asked the great beast before us.
Yes. And I overheard you saying that colossal has risen, and you're going to try and stop him from reaching the mainland in the Pacific Ocean. Am I right?
Yes. But what does that have to do with...
I want to come onto the fucking ship and fight that fucker out there.
But why do you hate him?
Because that fucker made Lawrence use me as a guard dog. Now do you know why?
Yes, I do. Damn, you swear more than any human I know. Well, Skinny, you did try to kill me and Zack more than 100 times, and...
My name isn't Skinny. I'm a girl, you fucking idiots.
Oh, sorry, I forgot you were once human. What's your real name?
Rita.
Well, you tried to kill me, and you've stalked me even before the whole Core thing.
Of course. I'm a damn wendigo. I need to kill and eat humans to survive. What did you expect me to do? Go to the grocery store and buy food? And Lawrence put an explosive device on my arm, and he would have killed me if I didn't listen to him. But I lost that arm again thanks to you, assholes. And you shot me with your stupid guns. I think I had the right to rip your fucking spines out.
Oh. Just a second. I turned to Zack and Marlowe. Holy shit, is that a fucking wendigo? Marlowe asked. Kind of. Should we let her come with us? Rita is a wendigo, and she's already killed almost all the servants of colossal in the building. I guess, but we need to set a few ground rules so she doesn't rip off our faces. Zack turned to Rita. You can come with us in one of a few conditions. You cannot, absolutely cannot, eat or kill a human unless he or she is dead. If the humans are hostile or part of Core, knock yourself out. You can stay in the woods behind Roger's house until we go. And you can hunt deer or other animals, but not humans.
Fine. And you don't need to search the base. It's abandoned. They move their fucking base somewhere else. I don't know where.
She stood up and walked away from the home and stood near the woodline.
Do you have anything that can fix this?
Rita tapped the stump of her arm.
Yeah, I think I can make that work.
He walked deep into the base, and 10 minutes later he came back out with a large robotic arm that was cleanly cut at the shoulder, exactly what we needed. It looked deadly, with a knife-like blade sticking out of the elbow, the blade sticking out of the long fingers like claws. Where did you get that?
The lab,
Zach replied. Then he turned to Rita.
In the robotics room. I think a friend can attach this to your shoulder.
Thanks, Rita said. We walked back to the truck, parked in the dirt road, where Rita sat in the truck bed whilst we drove in the front. Zach dropped Marlo and I off at my house, whilst he brought Rita to Alan's. Alan also conveniently worked with mechanics, robotics, and prosthetic limbs in the past, before he became a monster hunter. According to Zach, Alan at first said, "Fuck no," when he was asked to attach the arm from core to Rita's severed limb. But after much bribing and lengthy conversation between Rita and Alan, he agreed to attach the arm. According to Alan, the prosthetic mostly worked on its own, and only needed to be attached to Rita's sliced-off arm to work, with the electricity automatically connecting to robotic parts still left in her body. Rita came back with a fully functioning and weaponized new arm, which she tested out in the backyard. I was still very wary of her, as I was when Kyle had first moved in a week after he had kidnapped and beat the shit out of me. A few hours later, Christopher and Blaine returned after their little trip to the woods where all those kids went missing last year. While the adults were off doing their weird-ass monster shit, Blaine and I grabbed our guns and went off into the woods where, according to Roger, a bunch of kids had gone missing and were never found. Fuck common sense. We walked down the deep trail, kicking trees and shooting fallen logs. While walking, I found a medium-sized flat rock on the ground with these words engraved into it. Ancient Order of colossal. Fuck them, LOL. Someone had written the fuck them LOL part with a Sharpie in identical handwriting to Kyle and I's. I was sure that he had written it. Check this shit out, I said to Blaine. That's the colossal fucker. Blaine laughed. Yeah, dog, we're gonna kick that fucker's ass soon, ain't we? We continued on the walk for a bit, till I noticed a man following us. There shouldn't have been anyone else out here in the middle of the woods, and the guy sure as hell didn't look like any random hunter we'd stumble upon on the trail. He had beard stubble, stupid fucking glasses, a weird grin, a hoodie pulled over his face, and he was wearing jeans. To put it simply, the guy looked like someone who would drive around in a white van to lure kids with Snickers and Kit Kats. But then you and your friends would be in the van and realize there's no candy, and you're going to either get molested or sent to China. Blame! I nudged the thug in the side. The fuck? There's some creepy-ass guy following us. So what? So there's a creepy-ass guy following us. Dog, we illegally have guns. We can fuck shit up if he tries anything. Then Blaine actually turned around and yelled, Hey, shithead! My balls ain't Play-Doh! Stop playing with them! What the fuck was that? I asked. I turned and looked at the man, who was still walking, but he didn't have any facial expressions. He was just smiling, still looking at us. If I was some creepy-ass pedophile walking around and looking for some kids, I would have laughed at what Blaine said. Not because it was funny, but because it was very accurate. He walked at a normal pace, never running or slowing down, just standing there and walking like a zombie. I was beginning to think that guy was stoned, high, drunk, or all of the above. The asshole was now somehow closer, only 10 meters behind us. Hey, Blaine! I exaggerated. I visibly showed my hunting rifle to him. This is a nice gun, right? Yeah, Blaine said, catching on. Would be a shame if some dog got shot, eh? I looked back at the man. Still no expression. What the fuck is up with this guy? I then made a very impulsive teenager decision. I threw a rock at the guy's face, and he still didn't move. Then, without warning, the fat fuck lunged at us, stopped, then was suddenly pulled into the air. And that's when I saw the nearly invisible web-like strands holding up the man. He reached up into the trees, where a creature bit his head off and threw the body. The man was fucking bait. The monster climbing in the trees and chasing us was probably as big as an SUV, with 10 spider-like legs and a large leech-like mouth surrounded by black tentacles. Let's kill this ugly son of a bitch! We both loaded our guns specifically for a situation like this and fired at the creature. It seemed agitated by the bullets, but our cute little rifles weren't going to do shit. As I was so rudely interrupted, the ugly son of a bitch ate our bullets and shit them out like they were Nerf foam darts. Fuck me, this thing's not going down. We need to find a way to get—
Already on it, dawg.
Blame picked up the huge rock the size of my head, climbed up a dirt hill, just as the creature jumped from the treetops to the ground, and he chucked it right into the creature's face. The force of the rock hitting the fat fuck was enough to send it back, and I even heard a crack. Although that could have been the rock or the creature's skull breaking, or maybe both. Run! I yelled. We were both sprinting down the trail like Insane Bolt. Usain Bolt's faster and more fucking lit brother was chasing us, and I turned to fire a few shots at the behemoth. It screeched and ripped up dirt until something absolutely fucking crazy happened. Someone who was sniping from a higher point in the hill fired their gun and absolutely obliterated the monster. The man was 6 feet tall with a gray beard and dressed like he was ready to go to war or a serious fishing trip, and he was holding the sniper rifle. The man walked down to the trail and said,
Man, that was one fast fuck. My name is Sergio. Cute guns, kiddos, but you should really get going. We have to take care of this. I'll be okay if more don't come.
The name seemed familiar, though I couldn't really place it. You a cryptid hunter?
Yeah, I guess you could call me that.
Oh, my uncle's friend's a cryptid hunter. His name's Zach.
Zach? Really? I'm his boss. We sometimes go on jobs together. Is your uncle Roger?
Yeah.
Well, tell him I said hi. I'll take care of this. Also, I need that grenade launcher he borrowed back.
With that, Blame and I walked back out of the mountains, onto the dirt road that led back to Roger's house. I decided not to tell Roger about it, since we hadn't died, and Sergio had taken care of it. When we entered through the backyard gate of my uncle's house, I saw a 10-foot-tall wendigo with a fucking robot arm crawling around and slashing at trees. What the fuck? I stepped outside into the backyard where I heard Christopher and Blame yell in unison. What the fuck? What? I asked when I saw Christopher and Blame looking at Skinny, and my nephew looked like he was shitting himself. Hey, calm down. Christopher stopped swearing and calmed down a little bit. Christopher, this is Rita. Rita, this is Christopher. Rita grunted a half-assed greeting in response and slashed a huge tree down. Rita, please don't eat him. He's my nephew, and my brother would be so pissed if he got eaten. Oh, and we leave for the ship in a few days, maybe later.
Okay. Like I fucking care.
I grinned and walked back inside with Blame and Christopher. What's with Rita? It's a long story. Then I told them everything. Later, we were all sitting around a huge bonfire in a large clearing in the woods behind my house, and eating and talking. Rita was eating a huge dead elk 20 feet away, and when she finished, she threw the bones into the woods and sat down on a huge log.
So how's the stab wound? Good. How's the divorce going? Your kids are doing okay?
What? I don't have any kids.
None that you know of.
Well, right, cut the bat shit. Rita, how did you become a wendigo?
I can't remember everything, and that should be pretty fucking obvious. But I must have been a woman in my early 20s when that change happened. I was hiking with, I think, a friend in the place you call Canada in the winter when we got lost. An unexpected storm came along and we both holed up in a cave with a small fire, and we stayed there for a few nights and nobody seemed to come. The fucking blizzard wasn't letting up either. That fucking blizzard. My friend went out to look for firewood, and when she didn't come back, I went out to look for her. I found her dead. She must have gotten even more lost and died from the cold. I didn't have any more food, not even a single bit, and I knew I wouldn't last long if I didn't have something to eat. So I ate her while she was dead. It was enough to sustain me for a week or so, but help still hadn't arrived. Well, they just didn't know about us. Over time, I slowly started to grow, and my skin became pale, and I was getting extremely thin. The flesh on my face started to fall off until just my teeth, skull, tongue, and eyes were left. My skull strangely grew and grew until it resembled the skull of a deer with antlers. Then I roamed the whole country searching for prey, killing people and animals until I somehow ended up in this America, and I took temporary residence in the forest with other wendigos. And that leads up to now. Damn, people really are delicious.
Wow. Did you remember all that?
Did you even pay attention to what I just said?
I was being rhetorical.
Just a second.
Zack took out his phone and stood away from the fire while we talked. A few minutes later, he sat back down on the logs. Who'd you call him?
Just a few guys I know. Might help with killing colossal.
Figures, I said. Everyone you talk to can help with killing it. Besides being so fucking large and having an entire army of monsters as large or even larger than the Leviathan or the Gulper, what other powers would it have?
Depends. Telekinesis, matter manipulation, superhuman strength, all of those. Hell, maybe it can even fly.
If it can fly, why would it swim all the way here?
I don't know. Maybe it's bored as hell and wants to extend humanity's death as long as possible.
Why don't we just nuke the shit out of it? Because... Wait, didn't you just ask this? Yeah, I was just trying to piss you off. A human body came flying from the woods and crashing right into the middle of the campfire, instantly smoldering it. What the shit? I screamed, jumping back. The body, which was actually a man in his 40s, looked straight up at us.
Help me. Get out of here.
The guy was suddenly pulled back by some unseen force, leaving us in total silence.
Yeah, well, it looks like we just found something to keep us busy for tonight,
Zack said, standing up and casually loading his assault rifle, checking the sights for safety, or whatever the hell he did. It's a fucking trap, how do you not know that?
Well, it's a fucking trap, all right, but we know that, so technically it's not a trap. Now get your ass up, let's kick some fucking dicks.
I sighed, asking Marlowe to watch the house and the kids, and I grabbed the shotgun and old combat sword. Cal, can you come help us kill whatever the hell this thing is? Cal just stood there, grinning.
What's the magic word?
Oh, fuck you. Let's go. On to the teeth. Kyle, Zack, and I walked in the direction of the blood trail the man had left. It eventually led deep into the woods, when I suddenly fell into a 9-foot hole in the ground.
Oh, shit!
Zack pointed his headlamp into the ground, down at me.
You okay? Does it look like I'm okay? Yeah?
I looked down the tunnel connecting the hole and going diagonally deeper into the ground. A shit ton of blood, bones, and spider webs lay across the tunnel. The tunnel was high enough that Kyle and I could comfortably walk down it, but Zack and his 7-foot-tall height would have to bend to get by.
So you coming down here?
I asked the two. I think the guy was dragged down here, based on the ripped flesh and bloodstains. Fuck yeah, Carl said. Fuck me, Zach said. Zach sighed and took off his trench coat he was wearing over his plate carrier. The guy always wore that fat-ass trench coat to hide all the weapons he had. The two jumped down the hole and joined me. We kept walking down the tunnel. What the hell is this thing? You tell me. I ain't got any idea what this is. Something wet fell into my face. Oh, what the fuck? I looked up. Right above me was a smaller version of the shortish pillbug centipede scary shit creature we had seen back at the core headquarters, with dozens of tiny needle-like legs and some kind of spiderweb-like silk coming out of its arse. Shit! I screamed, firing a couple of shots at the creature. I missed all of them and it leapt straight at Kyle's face, but he somehow caught it in his gloved hand mid-air, and he slammed it as hard as he humanly could into the wall, splattering the creature's carapace and killing it. You fucking are! I sure do love killing! Kyle looked down at the still-twitching creature. How does it feel to be dead? What the fuck was that? Zach asked. One of those weird-ass pillbug things we saw back at the intentional containment breach at Core. Do you have Alzheimer's or something? I bet you do. Kyle, stop spitting on the dead monster. Let's keep going. We continued walking down the tunnel until we hit a large room in the cave, a hive of some sort, filled with webs and a single spinning office chair in the middle, facing away from us. The hell? The man in the chair slowly started laughing, then turned to us, and I could already tell who it was from a mile and an ocean away. And you can probably tell too. It was Lawrence. He was still wearing a classy suit, but his rapidly graying blonde hair was more ragged, and he had an unshaven 5-day beard. Roger, Kyle, whatever the hell the tall guy's name is. We meet again. Well, what the fuck does it look like, you old shit? Kyle bravely said, marching towards Lawrence. Lawrence said, pulling out a torch and lighting it with some ancient-looking lighter. The tip burst into a greenish-blue flame, and instantly, more of those pillbug demon creatures crawled out of the tunnels and surrounded the fire, yet not touching Lawrence. There were too many for us to reasonably fight, and any sane person would have run the hell out of there. But then I remembered who I was with. All right, Zach said. What the hell do you want? I want you to sabotage the entire fleet of your fancy military warships. The fuck? Why do you want us to stop the ships from intercepting the big creature and his army of cephalopod amphibious weirdos? If he's so powerful, why are you afraid of some tiny ships? Don't ask, asshole. We don't want any competition. Oh, and I forgot to tell you, I have this. Lawrence pulled out a thick, old, and large book with a satanic rip-off symbol on the cover, and had a bunch of stains on those loose papers. Casually, I said, That's a book, what's that supposed to do? That's an occultist summoning manuscript. Yes, you're right, Lawrence said. Then he opened the book, which was actually hollowed out, and pulled out a grey whiskey flask and lit the book on fire and threw it aside. We all just awkwardly stood there as Lawrence downed the entire flask in a few sips and threw the empty flask into one of the tunnels going deeper into the earth. The fuck? Lawrence pulled out a tablet from literally nowhere, similar to the one he used to release the king or queen of Nag-Funawalgi when the core headquarters was still intact. When I press this button, I will detonate a collection of explosives attached to a collapsed cave on the ocean floor 30 miles away from the coastline, and will release a hive of warrior anglers upon the surface of the water. Don't you fucking dare. Zach, who was pulling his pistol out, was interrupted. Too late. Lawrence laughed and pressed the button with an audible click. Zach fired a shot squarely at Lawrence's chest area, but as Thanos once said, you should have gone for the head. Zach was using his classic Taurus ranging hunter revolver, and if it weren't for the high-grade bulletproof vest Lawrence was wearing, his insides would have been liquefied as the bullet passed through and kept going on until it hit a fucking wall of concrete or something. Instead, only the very tip of the bullet hit Lawrence, just beside his heart, and that combined with the force of the bullet knocked him straight on his arse, leaving a very small bullet wound on Lawrence's chest, and also dirtying his fancy-ass business suit. Zach swore and made a quick phone call to someone I didn't recognize.
"Fucking horsecock!"
Kyle screamed, shaking his fist at Lawrence as he scrambled to run and escape through the other tunnel. Oh, come on, Kyle, you can do better than that.
"Fucking cockhorse!"
"Kill them!"
Lawrence screamed, throwing the blue torch at us, narrowly missing my head.
"Kill them all!"
I pulled out my sword from my belt. Glad to. Every single one of those weird-ass pillbug things started to make a weird clicking noise, crawling towards us, and one leapt, which I quickly sliced clean in half with my sword. One of the nasty little folks got onto my leg and tried to scamper up my pants.
"Ew, no! Hell no! Get the fuck off of me!"
I screamed, stabbing at the creature. It immediately died as Kyle laughed at me, and that dumbass motherfucker ended up holstering his gun and abandoning it to fight with an old police club in his bare hands. A huge one, maybe 5 feet long, jumped onto my back as Kyle grabbed it off and threw it into the air, and I sliced it in half.
"Everyone get the hell back," Zach said. "I'm gonna set this fucking place to high hell."